In this video, I'll be sharing how I traveled from Nigeria to the USA while I was 8 months pregnant to participate at Brown University's summer school. It was a fully funded summer school, so stick with me. So here's the backstory. I was selected for the Mandela Washington Fellowship. It's another highly competitive, very prestigious program for outstanding African leaders. For me, I'm in the non-profit, civic leadership space. And I was also selected for the fully funded summer school at Brown. So I was selected for two programs, fully funded to travel to the United States. And they both had different visa requirements. For the Mandela Washington Fellowship, I'll be traveling with the J1 visa, while for the Brown School, summer school, I already had a visitor's visa. I had this fellowships even before I thought about having children. So I did not even plan, to have a child when I had these programs. This was one of those things that you just plan and things just fall in without you knowing. So here was I. I went for the Mandela Washington Fellowship and I came back because I had to defer one. I couldn't do the two at the same time because they were both, in 2017. So I had to defer one, which is the Brown School, and I went for the Mandela Fellowship. So the next year, Brown School was magnanimous enough to allow me participate in the Brown University summer school. And at this time, I was pregnant. Like the program was holding close to the end of my pregnancy. Like it was just totally unplanned. So this is what I did. I reached out to the embassy to disclose that I'll be traveling to the United States. I had this visa earlier for this summer school at Brown. However, I did not go that year because of the Mandela Washington Fellowship, so it was deferred for the next year. So I'll be participating now, and accidentally, I am pregnant, and so I'll be having a baby there. So I just had to, disclose that I was transparent. Now, here's the thing: it's important for me to just be very transparent about it because I was very visibly pregnant. I was 8 months pregnant, right? And because I was traveling when I was, 8 months pregnancy. I cannot come back to Nigeria 9 months pregnancy. I may not be certified fit to fly. So when I just sensed that, I might have this baby, I just informed them in case, I wasn't sure if I was going to travel, but I just let them know that I will be having a baby. And they were like, okay, it's fine. Like I just shared that as at then. So I disclosed that. I also went to tell my doctor, and my doctor did all the tests. It was a very easy pregnancy. I did not have any single problem in that pregnancy. In fact, in that pregnancy, I participated at a practicum where I was learning how to set up a drink business, Zulu business. I was very active. I had no issue, no high blood pressure. I was not sick. I was a first time mom, but I was very strong, going about my activities. In fact, during the first trimester of that pregnancy, I went to South Africa to present a paper of International Water Conference. I went there, sponsored also by the Mandela Washington Fellowship. I won a speaker travel grant. So I went there to speak at a conference. So that's just to tell you that I had a really, very easy pregnancy. But as I say with pregnancy, you never can tell what will happen towards the end. So when I realized that, hey, because I was actually in panic mode, should I defer this program or should I stay back in Nigeria? Now, I'd already deferred this program from the previous year. I don't want them to think like I'm unserious, right? I'd already deferred it and they were kind enough to allow me to defer it. I also told them I was pregnant and they were like, it's okay. Remember, I've told the embassy and I was telling Brown University that I'm pregnant. And they're like, okay, I mean, you're pregnant doesn't affect your brain. Of course, they didn't say that. But I disclosed that before coming, so I didn't take them by surprise. Okay. Now, here's the thing. As the first time mom, my mom is also late. There were just too many things. Should I cancel this? Should I go? Should I stay? I spoke to a lot of friends and they were like, listen, Chibuzo, you already postponed this from the previous year and they were kind to defer your slot for a fully funded program. Who does that? Like you are the definition of grace and favor. God is so good to you. Truly, God is good to me. And so when my friends told me and my mentors, they told me, hey, shoot for it. I'm like, okay, let's see how this will go. But I was really, really scared. I was scared because I don't know how I'm going to survive being alone in a new country. Yes, I've been to the US before, but I also know the US is very individualistic. I also know that I'm a first time mom. So I just had a lot of fears, like traveling. So even though I was very excited about being selected for the program, I did not take that for granted. But you could visibly see that I was very, very scared because of the pregnancy. That pregnancy just made me scared. I love the program. I was looking forward to it. It had to do with my research. My master's research has to do with displaced people. So, I've always been drawn to humanitarian causes. So my master's research, I did my master's at the University of Ibadan in Nigeria. And my research was about the narratives of from um, Bakassi displaced people. I was basically looking at the women and I was looking at how they remember homeland. So that's summer school, has to do with forced migration and displacement. And my proposal was selected. It's a very competitive pool. Like I think I saw that my ticket that they paid to and fro was $4,000. So that's a lot. So there was all of that going there, but there was just that part of me that was still very, very scared, fear of the unknown. Yeah, so I had a very good doctor in Nigeria and talking to him about the whole thing and him like, listen, this has been a very good pregnancy. You've not been sick, no anemia, nothing abnormal. we don't even have any issues. Like, so he gave me my, he letter that I was fit to fly. He also put together all of my documentation, all my hospital visits. He carefully wrote it one by one, like from the beginning, the first day I came from antenatal to that day, he wrote it down, like so kind of him. So that was actually I felt very relieved, with all of that work that he did. I also called the airline, I think it was Delta Airline, and I flew there. And I asked them what was their policy around traveling while pregnant. Would they allow me to be on board? I asked all of those questions. Trust me, I wasn't taking anybody by surprise. I wasn't there to take advantage of the system because if anything happens to me, look, I'm pregnant. I'm already in a very vulnerable situation. I just didn't want to make things worse as things were. So yes, I was playing my cards out there. I asked the airline, and they're like, as long as I have a letter from my doctor that says I'm fit to fly, then I'm good to go. So I, put together my savings, packed some Nigerian food, put together my research, everything that I'll be presenting, because I'll be presenting my work there. I put together everything and I set for my travel to the United States. The second time, remember the first time I went for the Mandela Washington Fellowship. So one of the things I did was not just talk to my doctor, I also spoke to other women who have traveled. And some of them said, you have to go with the compression socks. You have to ensure that you walk around because it's a long flight. So you have to make sure that you drink water, you stay hydrated. So during the flights, maybe after 1 or 2 hours, I'll stand up, I'll just take a walk, to prevent blood clots. I got my compression socks. I basically just make sure that health wise I was good to go. So when I got to the plane, I usually have this plane. I used to be scared, to be on the plane, and now I'm pregnant, so I was really, really scared. There was this mama sitting by me, a Yoruba mama. She's, perhaps going to see her children. We don't. I don't speak Yoruba fluently, even though I understand. I'm Igbo. Mama she saw that I was pregnant, and in Nigeria they usually have this empathy. They're usually very soft towards pregnant women. So immediately the plane took off. I was I didn't even know when my hand found its way into Mama's arms. I just held on to her. And Mama held on to me all through. And she began to pray in Yoruba. She put my hand in her chest and I just laid on her. And she continued praying for me in Yoruba. She continued praying. She continued praying. Mama prayed and prayed. And it was just a very beautiful bonding moment for someone I don't even know from Adam. And that was how we were till it was a 12-hour flight till that flight ended, and it was okay. One thing I did not share is that I was not excited, about being on the plane when I was pregnant. I also was not excited about traveling. So I remember leaving the airport, very grumpy. I wasn't happy. Maybe it was I just wasn't happy. There were just too many things on my mind, too many things on my mind, and so I was not happy at the airport. So my encounter with Mama was something I still remember that was very memorable. I wasn't very hungry throughout the flight because I was usually when I'm very tensed and my appetite, is not that bad. So it was a very great flight. We landed Atlanta. When we got to Atlanta, I showed my passport and they saw my boarding pass. I was flying to Boston because that's the airport. And Boston is close to Rhode Island. So the process at the airport when I landed was very smooth. I landed at Atlanta airport and I had my boarding pass because I was flying to Boston at that time. Yeah, I was flying to Boston because that's the where I had the connecting flight. So I got cleared through the immigration, and then I embarked on my journey. There was another pregnant woman I remember, so we were kind of friends, because we were both pregnant. She had traveled before, so she was used to this stuff. So we got to talk during some brief moments, and it was great. When I landed Boston, we had the people, the school, Brown University officials were already waiting for us at the airport. So they took me to my room. Oh goodness, and I stretched my legs like I just lied down, like a baby. I still remember that moment. And I was just so grateful to God that I arrived in one piece. My legs were swollen, of course. One of the things I did is because I was looking really pregnant, so I didn't want people to get scared. When I landed the airport, even before I landed, I made sure I did my makeup just a little bit so I don't look so scary because pregnancy sometimes can make you not look so good. So, I just touched on my face. I looked okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to share, my next episode is how did I go through this intensive 2 weeks? Because when they pay for you to attend a program like that, they expect you to come with your A game, right? So look out for the next episode where I will share how I participated in a 2 weeks intensive summer program at Ivy League Brown University while I was close to giving birth practically because by the time the program was done, I was already in my ninth month. I'll share that in the next episode. Please don't forget to share, to subscribe, and tell your friends. My advice to any woman out there, anyone shooting for your career, doing your PhD, your masters, whatever it is, trust me, where there is a will, there is a way. See you on the next one. My name is Dr. Chibuza Azuike.